Go.
What is going on, guys? Another episode of Primetime Rye Time. I'm Mando, and this is Ryan, right? Or Rye?
The Rye Guy.
Rye Guy. Today we have a special interview with our first sergeant. He is one of the senior leaders in our chain of commands, and he's going to talk a little bit today about his experience in the Army, why he chose to stay a recruiter versus the job that he had originally picked, and we'll talk to you a little bit about that. Some exciting things that he's done, and some like the meaningful things that that he thinks that he's made a difference in and stuff. So
that he thinks? Is that what you said?
Well, I mean, it's personal preference.
Oh, that
right?
you did. Okay, now I got you.
So because I think that I've changed somebody's life, some other soldier could think of me in a different aspect, like, hey, he just told me to, get my head out of my butt, and I did it. Where I don't think that's, maybe that was the turning point for him, but for you personally, it's like a personal experience that you were like, I really felt like I changed somebody's life. But a soldier could be like, that NCO really changed my life, and it could be something that you may have said in passing or something like. But anyway, without further ado, I will pass it off to you for the interview, and I'll go behind the scenes for a little technical expertise.
All right, like you said, we got our first sergeant in the house, Corey Cummings in Eugene Company. You got to put the glasses on. Let's get it. Go ahead and do the camera angle so we can introduce. Welcome to the show. Go ahead and say to the viewers, say your name and a little bit about yourself.
All right. Hey, thanks for having me. Prime time with Rye Time. Sergeant Warren, Sergeant Ryan out there in Bend getting it done. Happy to be here today. I am First Sergeant Corey Cummings of the Eugene Recruiting Company, otherwise known as the Ewoks.
Ewok,
the mighty Ewoks. Yeah, we're small, we're fierce, and you get us together in a pack, we can take down the Rebel Alliance. So that is what we're here to do. And I'm real excited about the interview. So go ahead and fire away there, Sergeant Ryan.
All right, let's get it. So how long have you been in the United States Army?
I've been in the United States Army 18 years as of July 2nd.
18 years. Are you close? I wish I was that close. You almost retired.
We'll see, man. It's a request. You request your retirement. So
that's true.
You get to that point and in your career where you're eligible, which is obviously 20 years in service, and then you request to retire. Depending on your MOS, the needs of the Army, which is usually what everything depends on, they will allow you or they will not allow you. So we'll see how that goes.
Hey, First Sergeant, are you planning on becoming Sergeant Major if they offer it to you?
If they offer it to me, that means I have no choice.
There it is.
Yes, I will be putting on the rank of Sergeant Major, attending the Sergeant Major's Academy down in Fort Bliss, Texas.
All right.
And leading and inspiring and motivating, hopefully, a larger population of fine NCOs such as yourself.
Yeah, you gotta do that change of command ceremony with the flag,
Hey, that was pretty cool. Honestly, when I took assumption of responsibility for Eugene Company, standing behind a podium, changing the guidon over, the first time doing that as an NCO, that was really a cool experience. So it's just an awesome adventure. Another chapter.
I guess that kind of leads us into our next question. Then, what motivated you to join?
So I joined when I was a senior in high school. The year was 2001. The month was November. I had basically been living with my dad for the beginning part of my senior year. I was kind of a knucklehead. My mom kicked me out of my house the end of junior year, so I went and lived with my dad. And 9/11 took place. Many of you remember that.
Some of you weren't first grade, I think.
Yeah, you were a first grader. I was a senior in high school. Let's show my age real quick. So that kind of affected me. Obviously, I think it affected everyone in the country that was witnessing that take place. And then when I actually returned to live with my mom in Florida, Army recruiter called my house and said, our nation is under attack and we're depending on volunteers. Can I come talk to you about what the Army has to offer? And he came to my house and we sat down at my kitchen table and just laid everything out. It was pretty clear, and I just made the decision at that point to enlist. So I was in the delayed entry program as a senior and then shipped out July of 2002.
Okay. So what was your first job then? I mean, what was your original job before being a recruiter?
Yeah, so I enlisted into the Army as an airborne field artilleryman. So I was real into action, adventure kind of things. I was a daredevil by trade. I would call
Nice.
myself. So when they said, "Hey, you can jump out of an airplane in the Army," I said, "Well, that's really cool." And then they said, "Oh yeah, we'll pay you extra to do it." And I said, "Well, that's even cooler." And then they said, "Hey, after you do that, you can shoot like all these guns, including the cannon and machine guns, and we'll pay you for that as well." I'm like, "All right, look, are you sure you're gonna pay me to jump out of an airplane, shoot all these guns, and play in the woods?" And that, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what made me choose that. My dad growing up did Civil War reenactments. He was on the artillery line, so I watched him do that, and I knew that shooting artillery was just a cool thing. So yeah, I went for it, and it was awesome.
Okay. So then, what made you become a 79 Romeo or a permanent recruiter, things like that?
Yeah, so mid career, I would say, as far as being an NCO, 5, 6, 7, 8 years in the Army. At about that point, the Army selects its top 10% to either do drill sergeant or recruiter. I thought that I was getting selected to be a drill sergeant. I read the email and it said drill sergeant recruiter. I'm like, oh, they picked me to be a drill. And then I just kept cruising down the email and it said recruiting school report date. So the Army selected me to be a recruiter initially. I was honestly like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I never considered myself a salesman or, really having that personality. But then, yeah, I came out to the command and I found that recruiting was more like leadership and counseling the soldiers. I would, leadership and counseling of the high school seniors, the people that were graduates that really just needed some guidance and mentorship and a clear path to see themselves, successful in providing for their families. So it was just a really rewarding experience to be able to be that leader in that community. And it wasn't like being a salesman. And I just kind of really took to it well and, just kind of fell in love with it, honestly, just
Yeah.
changing lives. So.
Okay. So with that, then, where have you traveled or been to with the Army?
So my first duty station was Fort Bragg, North Carolina. That's where I was jumping out of airplanes, shooting cannons. I re-enlisted because I decided that, I didn't want to spend a long period of time in one duty station. There's a lot of people that join the Army that is their motive. They want to stay in a certain duty station or unit for a long time. That wasn't me. I wanted to get out and explore the country and the world. And I had never been west of the Mississippi, so I re-enlisted to go to Fort Carson, Colorado Springs. Beautiful city, beautiful state. Loved it out there. And that's where I was. I was there for 4.5 years when I got selected to become a recruiter. And then first duty station as a recruiter was in Knoxville, Tennessee. I was right there beside University of Tennessee. Another really pretty part of the country. And then when I decided, hey, now I'm going to do this recruiting thing permanently, I was in the Army for 8 years at that point. I was a sergeant first class. I'd been promoted in my own MOS as an artilleryman to sergeant first class. So they said, hey, go down to Georgia, Macon specifically, and run that recruiting station. So I went and I ran that recruiting station for 2 years. I decided I was going to try out for special missions unit recruiting. So I applied to a unit that was in Fort Bragg, went out there, and basically for a little over 2 years recruited for that organization. Made the rank of master sergeant, and then took over Eugene Recruiting Company. So that's just kind of 18 years, I guess, in a nutshell. But yeah, man, it's been an awesome experience all the way through. Been a part of really awesome communities in each place that I've been stationed, which is just an awesome part about being a soldier. So.
Okay, so then for you, as Army as a whole, what's that one attribute, or however you want to describe it, the best thing of the Army that has to offer for you? I guess that's how I want to phrase it.
Yeah, so the people, I say, are the best advantage to the Army. The people that you meet in different duty stations, the people that you meet in those communities when you come in and you're the new person in school, or your kids are the new people in school, and you're the new people that are on the block. It's nice when that community kind of wraps its arms around you. And then you meet service members. I've met service members as well, I'm sure as you have, from all over the country that you just become really close and good friends with. Soldiers from different countries, right? Like I've got a lot of friends that from Puerto Rico, Alaska, Colombia, just all over the world, that I met while I was, serving, that they're still really close, good friends of mine. So the people is the best part about the service, because these are volunteers coming from all over the country, that really have a deep sense of pride in what they're doing and why they're doing it. And most of that is they're doing it for the person that's next to them. So, you can't beat the people in the Army. Sergeant Ryan, you know that, buddy. Come on.
You right. So let me ask you this, man. Out of kind of looking at all the branches, you being with all your experience in recruiting and working with those other branches, why is the Army the best branch?
Okay, so the Army is the best branch. For me, it was the best branch. And I think that is my message, honestly, to everybody that would watch this video, to everybody that I come in contact with, is you really have to discover what the best branch is for you. Now, how do you do that? Your research, and you really get to know those recruiters, because really that's going to be the only interaction that you can have with an active duty member of that branch. So do you like them? Do you like the way they kind of look at life in general, the way they balance family with work? Ask them those questions and figure out what is important to you and what you kind of visualize as your experience on serving your country, because it's not for everybody, the Army. But it was for me, because when I sat down with that Army recruiter, I felt like I'm talking to a real person. He had a family. He grew up, he'd been in the Army for 12 years at that point. So he had a house, he had a car, he was in college, and his family was well established. And then, I had a different experience with the Navy. They brought me to their recruiting station. They circled me, and they was just firing questions at me, troubleshooting me on everything I was saying about why I thought I wanted to join the Army. So it just wasn't, I didn't get that good vibe from them. So I joined the Army, and that was, I still, no regrets. And it's really fit me well, especially in this situation, with this pandemic sweeping across our country, and our command, the Army kind of taking a leadership role with, really taking the risk to the force as a very high priority, keeping its NCOs, its soldiers safe through this time. So couldn't have made a better decision.
Okay. So one of the questions I secretly got, they want to know, would you ever be willing to grow your mustache out for a month?
Okay, so yes, I would. And it's not going to be pretty. So there's your first warning. I have not been blessed with good facial hair growth or type of facial hair. So my facial hair literally grows like straight out, like a porcupine almost. And it's really like uncomfortable, but it also grows very slow. So if I grew my mustache out for a month, you probably wouldn't believe me, because it would look like, oh man, I could grow that in a week. You haven't been no, I've been growing it for a month. I just do not have very good facial hair growth.
You got the baby face.
So have you been growing it out for a month?
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you been growing it out for a month then? Because if so, that's pretty weak.
No, I haven't. If there's a challenge out there that is requiring me to do so, I can start today there, Sergeant Warren. How about
I say we do it, man. We all do. I mean, Sergeant Stone's already beaten us.
Yeah, I ain't catching him. I'm not catching Sergeant Stone. Let's just make that clear.
All right, then. I guess I'll give you the challenge then. I guess we can do a little follow-up appointment in about a month and kind of see where that stash is.
Yeah, today's the 22nd, so we can call next 22nd, if that makes sense. May 22nd, see where we're at.
Hey, it's on. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So if people are going to watch the videos, they're going to see like a progression in our videos. Okay, cool. So I got my final question for you here. If you're looking at your 18-year-old self, what advice would you give yourself about the Army?
Woo! Well, I'm gonna
You
put on
got
this little hat right here.
There it is.
So, 18-year-old self, listen here. You're gonna have some tough times. You're gonna have some leaders you don't like.
That's true.
But you need to stay on the horse because it's going to be the best thing in the end for you and your family.
Yep.
You need to take advantage of every opportunity and every open door, and you will not regret it.
Some good advice. I always think about that. What would I tell myself, man? I don't even recognize myself then. You know what I mean? I was so different. But
Hey,
we
you know
appreciate
what?
it.
You know what? I just got to comment on that question, man. You know why you don't have to worry about that question? Because you and I both, brother, were blessed with good leaders that put us where we are today. So even if we could go back, I don't think we would say anything different, honestly, because those leaders would still be there through our career, guiding our steps and ensuring that we were doing our absolute best and we were getting the best out of our experience. Would they not?
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. I know I was a tough soldier.
Hey,
my leaders were very patient.
you can learn something from every leader. You can learn what not to do from a leader and what to do from a leader.
Yeah, that's true.
You can learn everything from a leader.
But anyways, I appreciate you coming on the show, taking time out of your busy day to talk to us and kind of let us do your interview for the second time.
Yeah.
For the second time.
Last time we picked up all the audio from our first sergeant, and none of our audio was picked up. So Sergeant Ryan was here, and he was waving his arms around, and then our first sergeant would answer, and it's like, well, where was the question? We just saw Sergeant Ryan throwing his hands around, which would have been funny to kind of maybe post and then watch people try to bad lip reading, I don't know, and then see what Sergeant.
You have some in the back like doing sign language.
Yeah.
Hey, may I just say, this take 2 was on fire.
It was a lot better. That's true.
Yeah. It's always better the second time.
Yeah. But again, we do appreciate you coming on the show and doing all this for us.
Yeah.
Hey, no problem, guys. Thanks for everything you do.
All right. We'll see you soon.